What's going on, SRT Grizzly Gang? This is a story time, or really just me warning people who are diabetics, who is autistic, in any kind of way, not to work for Waymo. Waymo is the worst place to work at. My experience with Waymo, back in October, November, I was hired at Waymo to be a operator for the Waymo vehicles. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, Waymo, you're talking about the robot vehicles? Yeah, I'm talking about the robot vehicles. The ones that look just like those are the cars that I'm talking about. Those beautiful, amazing cars. They're very beautiful inside and out. Shout out to Jaguar for those amazing cars. But as I was working for them, they literally, I told them before I started working there, they literally was trying to fly me out the next day after we had our first interview and everything else. It was great at first. And it was a great opportunity to do something a lot bigger. When I got there, literally, let me back up a little bit. Before I got there, I literally was like, all right, I was a little skeptical because I'm a diabetic. Me being a diabetic, it's hard because, you know, you got to manage your sugar and everything else. And I told them I have to check my blood. They said there's no problem with that. We have no issues with that. You can actually come out here and work and be a diabetic. We don't do DOTs or anything like that. I said, all right, cool. So they called me back that same day after I had the interview. And they wanted me to fly out the next following day. I didn't want to do that. I actually wanted to give me an extra day. So he gave me another 24 hours to fly out, and I got all my stuff back. I told my family, and then I left out. I left out and I went to Orlando, Florida. Orlando, Florida was the training. They told me I had to go to Orlando, Florida for a month. Which I was cool with. I had my bills paid at the time for that month, for that next following month, and I was like, all right, let's go out there. As I was out there, it was different. It was definitely different. I've never been to Florida as far as for vacation or knowing Orlando, Florida, knowing Disney World, or knowing any of that stuff. I've never been out there. I've been to Jacksonville, Florida with Clayton Homes when I used to deliver modular homes and mobile homes and stuff. And I think I have a clip of that. If I do, I will throw it in here. But I used to deliver houses for Clayton, and that's like a whole nother story within itself. That I would definitely put out there as well too on another story time video down the road. But when I was working with Waymo, they had different companies like JSON and 8 Solutions. They were contracted through Waymo that did all the training and did all the work for Waymo. So while I was out there, you would think that, all right, if they're paying for food and they're paying for the hotel, your stay there, and they're paying you for all the time that anything that you do there, you would think you would get paid. Well, when you first get there, you're supposed to do a driving test. And the driving test is like a normal driving test at DMV in a way. They're trying to see how you drive, how you listen to communication, how you listen to everything else. Well, when I got there, they said I scored higher than most people. It was a amazing drive around the city, around a little bit of the Orlando city, a little bit, seeing Universal for the first time, me getting to see a little bit of Disney World, all the little different stuff in Orlando. And it was super dope and cool. So it was a great drive. So then after we came back to the hotel, after, you know, all the other stuff, after that first test, they gave me my hotel room key. And when I went up there, the key never worked. I went downstairs and it was a huge issue at first because they were like, all right, we don't have any other spare rooms. We forgot to tell you that you're going over across the street. I went over across the street. There was no hotel and it was just going back and forth. There was a lot of confusion at first. After the confusion, I was able to actually get a room because I didn't get a room until like 11 o'clock at night, 11, 12 o'clock at night, close to midnight, to actually finally get a room because there were so many mix-ups and so many things going on at both hotels for that weekend. Once I was able to get a room, I was able to spend the night, go to sleep, wake up the next morning. They wanted me to go back to the original hotel I was at to be with the other classmates and everything else. So I was thinking under the impression that I was going to go to class. No, I have to wait for credentials through Waymo to start class and start training. So I pretty much sat there, you guys, for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, doing absolutely nothing, waking up, getting the same $25 that they did in food, anything in food and grocery that we needed to eat for the day. They gave us $25. You know, $25, a lot of people have to know you have to really stretch it, because Orlando, can't even lie. Like, we're right across the street from Universal, so money. So you have to be careful of how you eat and how you move and everything else, unless you have your own money stacked up. So as we were doing that and grabbing little foods and stuff like that, I was finally approved for training. Once I got approved for training, training starts. So that's when you would think that you would get paid. No, that was never the case. Literally, they said you would get paid. We're doing the clock in method and all the other stuff through Google Docs and doing all the different stuff. And we're like, all right, cool. When do we get paid? They were like, oh, you don't get paid until like to the end of the week or next week. It's like a two week period. I said, oh, okay, cool. So we're doing the classes and stuff. They're real easy, and I can't speak about all the classes that we did, but it was very fun being on the computer, learning different stuff, the Waymo policies. Just like anywhere you would go in the world, you will learn. Go to a job, they make you do the little online shit now. They make you go through the classwork, watch the little videos, the safety procedures, all that stuff. It's like any other job. And I was doing absolutely everything with that. Once I got done with the classwork itself online, that's when we were able to ride along and drive. So when it got down to that part, because I was still wondering and still curious about my diabetes. One thing also, like to say, I am high functioning autism, and this job knew that. Waymo knew that. So as I was working and I was doing the things that I was supposed to do, we actually took a ride along. The day that we took a ride along, I had asked my instructor, because he didn't want me to carry my meter at the time. The meter on my waist that controls my diabetes, that lets me know when my sugar's too high, my sugar's too low, when I need to eat something. Because when you're a driver for Waymo, you guys can't eat. Can't eat and drive. You can't sit there and sip on something, because, you know, it has this camera. It's just like when I used to work for Clayton Homes and a lot of driver jobs, they have a camera that beeps and hits you every time. So that's points. And once you have a certain amount of points, it deducts off your bonus, or it can deduct off what you have going on as a driver points for you to keep your job. So he told me to put everything in the back for the time being. We took breaks in between, but he told me, and when I do leave training, I won't be able to do this. I won't be able to use my meter to check my blood sugar. They don't allow it. They wouldn't do any of that stuff. So as I was working and I had that understanding of knowing that, I told him that wasn't fine with me, and I would like to speak to like a boss so I can have a better understanding. Well, he told me, he said, when we get back, we will bring up the next following day with the next training session. Well, the next day came, the next training session, and they pulled me to the side and told me that because I am a diabetic, that I cannot no longer work for Waymo. And my trainer told me, because I am a diabetic, and then he said, reading my paper, knowing that I'm autistic, I'm unteachable. So they told me I was unteachable and I was a diabetic. And I said, so you're firing me, even though you have people that are diabetics, that are autistic here, and you're not willing to accommodate them in any kind of way. No, that's not our job. So I went ahead and I said, all right. And they sent me back to the hotel room, which we were already in a hotel parking lot, working from the hotel parking lot every day. So they sent me back to my hotel room. And as I was walking back to my hotel room, I actually got a chance to speak to one of my trainers. She was in shock, but she was like, oh, well, it's not really our problem. We're just going to end up sending you back home. We just pay for your flight to go back home. You can go ahead and get your stuff packed. So I was under the impression that I already had a flight. Then I was told I had a flight after I asked again. They said, yes, your flight is already here. You just have to turn in your key and we'll give you your flight. I said, all right. So I went upstairs to pack, let my family know I was coming back home and getting all my stuff prepared. This was like 1 or 2 o'clock, like the next day after lunch. When I got downstairs, they were trying to get me to resign in a way, but you already fired me. They were trying to make me write to them, let them know why I was fired from a different trainer of my diabetes and everything else. And it was a huge mess. It was literally going back and forth. It was like, hey, you have the job, but then you don't have the job. You can't keep your meter on you. And like, let's just say, hey, I go through something with my blood sugar and I pass out on the wheel, then it becomes my fault. It's not the company's fault, but there's no way for me to control it if you're not going to allow me to check my blood in between times, or times that I need if my sugar is low, to do the things that I need to do. So when I came downstairs and I gave them my key, they said they didn't have a flight for me. So they said they wouldn't have a flight for me probably until the next day or two. Well, I have no hotel room. They wouldn't give me a hotel room back. They wouldn't give me the key back or anything. They literally told me if I wanted it back, I would have to pay for it. So I was pissed off at that point. I was mad. I was walking in and out of the lobby. I was trying to understand, like, why the hell even have me come down here knowing that you already knew that I was a diabetic, I was autistic. If you already knew that and you wasn't going to work with me, why bring me down here? So it became a huge discussion. And then after I got a call from my dad, I was telling my dad the situation. I didn't have the bread the next following day because the next following day was Thanksgiving. It did this on Thanksgiving weekend. So the next following day was Thanksgiving. And the next following day of it being Thanksgiving, tickets are high. So because flights were so high, you guys, like literally so high, I had to call my dad and ask him for help because I was stuck in Orlando, Florida with nowhere to go, literally no flight back home, knowing Thanksgiving was the next day. Thank the Lord my dad had the funds and I had to get a flight back home through my dad. Once I got the flight, I got my last Uber money together for being able to get to the airport, and I had to spend the night in the whole airport. And my experience in the airport wasn't bad, but it wasn't really good either. And I literally didn't get any sleep at all. My phone actually died when I was recording this video, and I'm going to show you guys the video literally right here. Yo, what's up with the SRT Grizzly gang? We're here in Orlando, Florida. Goddamn, I'm coming back from my business trip. It was the worst business trip ever. They pretty much couldn't accommodate me for my diabetes and my personal health reasons, just health concerns. So they told me that I was unteachable. They told me that I was all types of things. They couldn't help me with my diabetes. If I fell into comatose or I was high in sugar and I died behind the wheel, it was okay. It was cool. Like, I'm like a test dummy to them. So, the word of the day, the word of the week, the word of the month, the word of the year is put it in God's hands, but also as well too, understand that your life is more important than any job, anything. Always choose you over anybody, and always remember that. But been in this airport for roughly 15 hours and still counting. It's roughly about to hit 3 o'clock in the morning, still up. Shout out to Orange, like, swear to you not. Shout out to the most amazing friend that put me onto it. Shout out to her, because this has been keeping me up. This is like my second one. It has 0 sugar and has really great flavor, no bad aftertaste like Monsters and all that other stuff does. But we're going to talk a little bit more when I get to my next stage, or I'll talk to you guys in just a sec. Now that y'all seen that video, it was a very interesting being in the Orlando airport. Don't get me wrong, I've seen a cockroach or two. Beautiful airport, but at nighttime, it's not the best. You got a lot of crazy heads out there near the airport. Food was great, had amazing food court. It was like a big old shopping mall before you even go through TSA. So I did enjoy that. I did get over like 26 or almost 27 miles of walking. I was walking literally all night, all morning until the airport opened back up for me to be able to go through security and go home on Thanksgiving. And would I ever go through that again? Hell no. What I would tell anybody who is a diabetic, who does have autism, Make sure that when you work for a company, make sure that they can accommodate you if it is an issue in between, and make sure you read their reviews, their turnover rates, and seeing what type of company that you're working for before you go out there. That's the word of advice to anyone who is thinking about going to go work for Waymo, or thinking about not even just Waymo, driving jobs or anything where you have to worry about your diabetes. I feel like worrying about your diabetes is a major concern. And one of the biggest questions that a lot of people ask is, why didn't you go to EOC? Why didn't you go to Equal Opportunity? I did. I did the application. I did all that. Never heard a response back. No one was willing to help me within my aid of getting reimbursed for the flight back, being able to get paid, get the money that was supposed to be mine anyways. Did I have contact with the company afterwards? Yes, they was willing to reimburse me and everything else, but never reimbursed me. They never did anything at all. They didn't even care that I was stuck in the airport overnight. They never cared about my well-being. They didn't care about anything. They just literally pushed me to the curve like I was just a burden to them, when they was the one that called me and did all the arrangements and promised a whole bunch of things and never came through. So I do say that if you do decide to work for Waymo, make sure you keep it up with an open mind and have some money in your savings just in case something does happen and you have to buy your own flight back or do whatever you have to do. But till next time, y'all, this is the end of story time, man. Like I said, shout out to Mopar, man. Mopar.